Hello, welcome to the art classroom. This is the final video for our ocean painting, and our colors for today are titanium white, raw umber, phthalo blue, dioxazine purple, cobalt turquoise, ivory black, cadmium orange hue, and cadmium yellow hue. So I want to apologize first because I had a difficult time with this video, and I ended up not videoing the whole thing because you're going to see that after this short clip, it's going to skip right to where the painting is close to being done. And I don't know what happened. My camera kind of just shut off. And I apologize for that, but there is a little bit of painting missing from this painting. So if you look, I've made a kind of a muddy color with a little bit of black and a little bit of my burnt umber and some white, and just filled in a little more of those darker brown areas in the water. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add those nice highlights of color. Again, this is not pure white. I've added a little bit of my blue into my color. You could always add a little bit of your turquoise in there if you wanted as well, but don't use pure white quite yet. We're going to add those little highlights of pure white last. All I'm doing right now is on the top of that darker area that I laid down the last time, I'm adding those white areas where you've got that nice wave coming in. So I'm just adding in those nice little waves, and I'm adding a few little highlights on the tops behind it. Again, this is not pure white. It's got a little bit of blue in there. You could have a little bit of purple in there, whatever you would like for your tint. And I'm going to make a nice bluish, light blue color and add in a few more highlights in behind on the darker side of the painting. Some areas are brighter than others, so you need to be careful. This is just showing that there is some rough water coming in with those nice highlights on the top. And that right side of the painting is just a little brighter than the other side. Now I added some of that turquoise color in there. Made it kind of a light turquoise, a little bit dulled down, just to add that little bit of a dark shadow where my wave is starting to kind of curl over. These waves aren't waves that are crashing, but they have some nice white tops. So I'm just adding the shadow towards the side of them a little bit and underneath, and that will make a nice contrast. Now I can really see those waves. I'm going to add a little bit more of these shadows in my area around my rocks. Remember, contrast is really important when you're painting. Those darker darks make your lighter lights look better. Now remember, this is turquoise and some burnt umber, a little bit of white, maybe a little bit of my blue in there too. I'm just adding in those darker areas before I put my lightest colors. Okay, now here's where I need to apologize. I painted all of that and it did not get videoed. So if you need to, please pause the video and look at all of those nice white areas. There were white caps added. There's a nice fold in the water in the front that was added. Some lighter purple colors were added. And now what we're doing is we're adding in those rocks. Now, if you are a person who likes the painting without the rocks and you just want the sand, you could absolutely finish when you're just be done when you're done painting the water. But I love rocks and I like making bright, beautiful rocks. And all I do is kind of outline with different colors, and then after I paint a base color, add a tint to the top and kind of blend it in. Remember, I'm using oil paints, so they're wet while I'm painting. Don't forget, if you're using acrylics, to add an extender so that your paints will stay wet longer, and then you can kind of smush them in. Also remember that you do need to wipe your brush often because you don't want to muddy any of your colors. I'm using a very small square brush to do these little rocks in the corner of my painting. Just adding different shapes. I'm kind of looking at my picture, but sometimes I pick out certain rocks and kind of go off on my own. This is the only area in this painting that you're using those two new colors, that cadmium white, or yellow, excuse me, and the cadmium orange. You see, I can start my rocks really light and then add a darker bottom at the underneath of it in different colors, blend in some different colors, because you know rocks have lots of different colors. They're usually not just one color, but they're always going to be a little bit darker towards the bottom because the light can't magically curl around that rock and the shaded areas around the edge of the rock. So underneath the rocks, towards the bottom, close to the sand, they're usually darker. A little bit of a shadow. So I'm just adding in all of my rocks. Again, I do apologize. I missed that whole section, all of those beautiful whites and light blues and light purples that are added into the water. This is what happens when you're new to videoing. I'll do better on my next one, I promise. There we go. So we're adding in some of those nice warm values in there. Just some rocks at the bottom, lights at the top, dark at the bottom. When you feel like you have enough rocks on there, then just be done. You don't have to do as much as I have done. You can kind of decide for yourself, right? I'm just adding a little bit of a darker value in there and putting a nice dark rock. And notice when I did that, that water in behind it just kind of showed so much better because of the contrast. And when you do finish your painting, and you get all those nice rocks and highlights in there, do your best on that water part that I missed. Use that small square brush and just make that little patterns of color in the water. And once you've finished all of those beautiful rocks, don't forget to sign your painting. Again, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. go on your own, do what you want, make it yours. Thank you so much for watching today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can find this painting online at my Etsy store.